Here's another segment of Blogging 101. We look at creating great posts because with blogging, you want to have a great post as often as possible. Yeah, average posts are okay, but let's see what we can do to create great posts along the way that keep people coming back and spreading them around and sharing them throughout the social universe. So, first of all, when it comes to creating great posts, you need to choose a topic and be very specific about that topic. Don't try and work too many things in there. If you have several ideas, create several blog posts. So your post has got to be a single topic and whatever angles you can find in that particular topic. The title is very, very important. In fact, when it comes to search engine optimization, what we like to call SEO, a good title with a good keyword or two will get people to find you, especially online through Google, MSN, Yahoo, Bing, all those search engines. A good title with a keyword in there is one of the things that people search for. If you're writing about QR codes, for instance, QR codes as a word or a phrase had better be in the title. In fact, you should probably put it in the first sentence as well. The opening line is very, very critical. Once you've got a good title, that's got them to the point where they're going to give you a chance. They're going to give your blog post a chance. They're going to test it out, and they're going to try a line or two. If the first line is great, it hooks them in with a good question or a challenging statement or a provocative statement or something that's unexpected, they've got it. So hook them with an opening line, lead them to the second line leads them to the third line, and so on. And the opening line also, if not the opening line, the second line should have the same keywords that you put in the title, because that is another way to reinforce your search engine optimization and get found through Google or other organic search tools. Finally, what is the point of your post? You got to have a point. And if you don't have a point, you might as well not write it. So figure out before you start writing, what is the point? QR codes are cool, I say, but you need to keep these three things in mind. That's what I think is the point of that particular post I was thinking about if you're writing about QR codes. So determine the point of your post. You might even have a call to action. The call to action might be, well, if you want a QR code, here's how to do it and here's where to get them. So give a call to action, give them how to do that action. You can add more depth with a blog post. For instance, you might be commenting on another blog's particular article or particular post, and you can do that. There's nothing wrong with that. In fact, if you link back to that and say, by the way, go read this post over there, here's what I think about that topic, that is a great way to create a great post. It gives you added ideas for content. So add more depth by commenting further on other topics or other blogs. And when it comes to a great post, boy, you got to spell everything right. You got to have correct grammar. If you're unsure of something, check a style book or ask somebody who knows. And nothing wrong with having two eyes on a blog post before it goes out, just to double check spelling and grammar. There are other types of content besides just writing. So let's take a look at what they are. Video, of course, is very easy to do. Most smartphones these days have high-def video easily uploaded to your computer, which you can edit, or easily uploaded straight to YouTube if you'd like. So video is one thing to do, and then you can embed that straight into your blog post very easily. Podcasting. Now, podcasting is audio only, but not hard to do. You just need a microphone that plugs right into your USB port, very easy, and you need software that edits your audio. So a podcast is easy to do. In fact, there are WordPress plugins if you're using a WordPress platform for your blog, and I think there are plugins for other types of blogs. But WordPress makes it easy to actually publish a podcast onto an RSS feed. Now, without getting too technical, a podcast becomes a podcast when it has the subscription capability. An audio file sitting on your website is not a podcast. You may think it is, but it's really not. So if you have an audio podcast, you've got the ability for someone to subscribe to it, which means that they can load up iTunes, they can, without even going to your website, they can download your new podcast automatically. So it's an automatic subscription tool. That's what makes it a podcast. And with a podcast, you can do lots of different things. You can interview people, you can expand on something, you can record speeches and put them on there. You can get people on the phone and record them. You can go to conferences and stick a microphone in their face and either do something video or audio, or take the audio from a great interview that you've done on video and just use that as a podcast. So lots of different ways you can use podcasts as content. Slideshows, photos work very well. Single photos are great, but slideshows have a great way of putting a collection together. Now, if you have a Flickr account, for instance, you can set up a slideshow fairly easily with a WordPress plugin. Slideshows are fun. People get a chance to bounce through several pictures taken at a single event, for instance. A single photograph is also a great way. If you are striving to find good photographs, there's some plugins which allow you to pull photos from Flickr and give credit to the photographer, but use them royalty-free, which is very important. You can't just use a photograph that you find online. You can get dinged for that by people that watch the copyrights. And if you use Creative Commons, which is what a lot of the photos, but not all, on Flickr are licensed with, and you use a plugin, all you have to do is give an attribution, which means this photograph is by such and such, and you've got it legally. If you put a quiz on your blog, that is a great piece of content, because quizzes, even though they have a very short lifespan, for the most part, they are fun to play, and people will spread them around, so that gets people to sample your content and your blog quite a bit. Now, a quiz can stay on your blog for a while, but let's say you have a time limit for a contest or something like that. As we talked about, contests are not a bad way to do it. Quizzes, contests, all ties together. That is a great way to get people involved. A quiz may stay on your blog for a long time. A contest, of course, has got a much shorter life span. But those are both very easy to put together, and get on your blog, and different types of contents to consider. Of course, company or industry news, very important. I wouldn't go too heavy on it, because that stuff is usually available elsewhere. For instance, if it's a press release, you can usually find that on your website. But what you might do on your blog is to have a short note, let's say a paragraph that's got 4 or 5 sentences in it, that mentions the press release, links to the press release, but you have a more kind of conversational tone about, hey, you should check this press release out. Here's all the details on the brand new thing we just released. It's kind of cool for this sort of reason. And maybe even stick a photograph in there if you can possibly do that. So nothing wrong with doing company or industry news or press releases. I just wouldn't get too heavy on them, but it can certainly be sprinkled in throughout the other types of content that you have on your blog post. Talk about new products. Of course, you want to toot your own horn with new products. I mean, if you're a chip company, you have a brand new potato chip out. You want to let people know about it. If you've got a taste test, you want to let people know about it. If you've got a trade show coming up, let people know about it. New product available at the new trade show. This is certainly a good place to do that, but take a little different angle. Don't necessarily use your blog as a place to toot your own horn about the new product, but give an angle as to what people can do with it, how they can use it, why they can use it, why it's important, and any insight into how the product was created. Those types of things make the blog post much more readable and much more interesting to your readers. Can you do humor? Well, of course we can all do humor. Now, humor, though, is hard, but if you can pull it off, a satire or something like that in your blog post, it certainly is worth taking a look at and possibly attempting. Now, I would stay away from humor that offends, and certainly a lot of humor can offend people. Religion, politics, ethnic, those types of approaches to humor usually don't go over well, and you're going to get a lot of people ticked off at you. But if you can be something, in fact, if you can point the humor at yourself, self-deprecating humor goes over better than any other kind. So if you can find a way to be funny at your expense, people will love you for it. Can you be provocative? Can you provoke some people to think about something in a different way? Can you find a way to provoke comments on your blog? Well, make a bold statement. Ask a question that gets people to really thinking. Those are the types of contents that blog posts that can be provocative. Also, when should you post? What time of day? What day of the week? Well, when it comes to day of the week, definitely avoid holidays, especially in business. Now, if you have a blog post around that's sort of built around holidays, like for instance, you have a company that creates stuff around Christmas or Thanksgiving or Valentine's Day, those may be the days that you really want to build things up to. But generally speaking, business blogs should avoid holidays. Avoid weekends. Most business blogs do not get read very much, if at all, on weekends. If you look at the readership of the Trade Show Guy blog, most of the readers are there Monday through Friday, but really drops off down to almost nothing on Saturday and Sunday. What time of day should you post? I would test that with your audience. There's different approaches on that. A lot of things I want to get there early in the morning, like 4 o'clock Pacific, which makes it about 7 a.m. on the East Coast, so that when people get into their office, it's in their inbox if they're subscribing to an RSS feed, or if they're checking Twitter, it's there throughout the morning. I've got links back to it through Twitter. But again, test it with your own audience. It just depends. Sometimes your audience may be done at the end of the day at 5 o'clock. They're sitting down for an hour at their computer before they go home. And that's the kind of thing you're going to get a feel for the more time you spend with it. And finally, when it comes to posting, now you want to get consistent content in there regularly, but don't put a great post up one day and then immediately cover it up the next day. Because what happens with the blog is when you put something new on your blog, it pushes the most previous post down below that on your front page, as it were. So give it a chance to breathe. Give it a few days to be there so people that come across your blog or stumble across it can see it as the first thing. So give it a chance to breathe.